Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our April 6th Mornings with Mayesh. I'm Yvonne Ashton, the marketing director here at Mayesh, and I'm very excited to have you guys on for another show. Today is very special. It is our first episode with flower growers. I have Chad Nelson of Eufloria Flowers and Martin Meskers of Oregon Flowers, and of course, my boss and CEO of Mayesh, Pat Dawson. We're very excited to have them on. We're going to be talking about the whole flower farm, what's going on with them, answering your questions about pricing and availability and a bunch of other things. It's going to be a really good show. So I'm going to give everyone a few minutes before we get started, just to have everyone come on in and just say good morning and where you're from. So I have VJ, good morning, and Charity, hey girl. Hi Penny, how are you? Also, if you're new to the show, I wanted to let you all know that if you can't listen to this whole live, that's okay. Or if you're just missing it live, that's okay too. We post everything on YouTube, and also I create a podcast, and all of that, including the show notes, will be up on our blog. I will probably get that done today. I'm trying to get that done as quickly as possible since I think all of this information is really, really important. And I just wanted to let you all know. Also, I wanted to make sure that you guys don't miss any of our events and lives and all of our news that's going on. So I'm just going to put in a link here for you to subscribe. That way you can subscribe to our blog and just make sure you get all of those emails. I see Cindy here. Good morning. Hi, Susan. How are you? Scottsdale, Arizona. Is it hot there? It's been really hot here in South Florida. It's was 90 degrees the last few days. Today, it's like we had a cool front come through, so it's a good old 75. Hi, Lynn. How are you? Hey, Hannah. Good morning. Hi, Tracy, Lisa, Carol. Hi, Alicia. Flirty Fleurs is representing. Very good. So as I bring on our guests, please know that you can post your comments or questions in the comments section. If we have time, we will definitely go over those. If I don't have time, I will try and roll it over to our next show. Sound good? All right, let me bring everyone on. Oh, Penny says pouring rain this morning. Yeah, it's been raining, but we needed it, right? No rain, no flowers. Christina says, good morning from SoCal, Wild Heart Florist. Hi, guys. All right, let me bring on Pat and make sure my speaker is good. Chad is coming on. And I have Martin. There's 4 of us today. Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning.
Good. Thank you so much, Martin and Chad, for coming on today's show. And I really, really appreciate your time today. I know lots of people have so many questions for you guys, so I really appreciate it. Before we get started and we get into the questions, let's just start off with you guys telling us a little bit about yourself and your flower story. Martin, do you want to go first? Now I can't. Oh, hold on, because I muted everyone. Let's start that all over. Hey, Martin, can you go first? I unmuted you now.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Well, thanks for having me on this morning, and happy to talk about what we see on the grower end with this whole pandemic going on. My name is Martin Meskers. I'm with Oregon Flowers. We are in Oregon in the Willamette Valley. We are cut flower growers about 20 miles south of Portland. Our company is called Oregon Flowers. Slogan is flowers grown with a Dutch touch. About 40 years ago, Ellen and I moved from Holland to the United States, worked for a bulb company for several years, and then started our own business in 1985 called Oregon Flowers. We grow primarily bulb crops, lilies and tulips, like you can see behind me. But a lot of miscellaneous things, hydrangeas, peonies, eremuras. We sell flowers 52 weeks out of the year. The bulb crops primarily in greenhouses, and a lot of field stuff like peonies and all that. Been doing that for about 40 years, like I said, and we are getting into a process that our kids are into the business now. So we're in a family business and hope to continue on for years to come.
Very good. Thank you, Martin. How about you, Chad?
Sure, great. Again, thank you all for having us a part of this. This is going to be a great show. Eufloria Flowers started out in 1984. We started growing miniature carnations as Koch Mesa Nursery Incorporated. Did that for 10 years into 94, and then started growing our own roses. Have been doing roses ever since. Currently produce 162 varieties of roses, spray roses, garden roses, and garden spray roses. And we're distributing all throughout the United States. Obviously, all of your branches have access to our product. And I've been in the industry now going on 30 years, so I've seen a lot. This by far is obviously the worst thing we've ever dealt with, and I think we're going to get through it, and we're going to talk through that here today. So again, I appreciate the opportunity to talk with everyone today.
Of course. Thank you again for coming on. Pat, I just want to make sure that you're unmuted. Do you know?
Can you hear me?
I can. Can everyone else hear Pat? I just want to make sure. Can you guys give me a heads up and make sure that's good? Let me turn up my gain. Here we go.
I don't have much to say. Patrick Dawson, CEO of Mayesh Wholesale. Really grateful that Martin and Chad have decided to join us today and that you're hosting this, Yvonne. Again, it's our attempt to just continue to bring as many resources to the table as possible and really talk about what's happening in our industry from top to bottom as we continue to work our way through this. And I'm with Chad. We're going to figure this thing out and somehow. But yeah, I'm looking forward to today's show.
Awesome.
Thanks, Yvonne.
Great. So I know having a farm in this time is probably incredibly stressful. And I just wanted for you guys to walk us through the process that you went through on deciding whether or not to stay open. I know that's been just a big question for everyone. And Chad, do you want to kick that off?
Absolutely. So the week of the 18th was obviously by far for, I think, everybody, one of the hardest weeks that we've ever dealt with. Just seeing numerous cancellations all the way from the top to bottom. We got to a point on the 18th that our owner, Andy Koch, just had to make a decision as to what our next step should be. And with not a lot of answers, he made the decision to permanently close down our operation on the 18th of March. Over the course of the 48 hours leading or after that decision, we got just numerous outpouring support from around the world, our colleagues, our customers. Just that outpouring support led us to really take a deep breath and step back for a moment and think about our crop that we have inside the greenhouse, the huge investment that we've all put into the operation and the plants inside the greenhouse. That, the best step for us was really going to be keep our plants alive, protect our investment inside the operation. And which we know we're going to get through it, but when that is, we're going to be ready to go at moment's notice to start supplying, the world again with our product. So that's what we decided to do, is to protect the crop and do whatever we can to make sure that we're ready to go when we get through this. So that's what we're doing right now. And, we're just bringing back employees now gradually just to try to manage that operation. And also at the same time, starting to do some sales along with that harvesting. But it was, definitely a very difficult decision in our business time for us to have to go through that. But we're fighting our way through it.
Very good. Martin, how about you?
Yeah, a similar situation as a family. Our son Tyler, our daughter Jacinth, and my wife Helen. We kind of talked things over. It never really came up that we were going to close. We just figured one way or another we're going to keep going. And challenging for us is that we, in order to have flowers 3 months from now, 6 months from now, we need to keep planting. Some crops like peonies and other items are in the ground, but other things need to be planted every week. And we will get through this one way or another. We just don't know when, and we don't know what it's going to look like. So we basically made the decision, we're going to keep going. And that's a risky one because we put everything that we have on the line, that we built up over all those 35 years. And to be honest, there's days that I go like these, I don't know. And then the next day you feel a little better. I'm sure like everybody else. But for us, in order to be able to keep going, we need to keep our employees, we need to keep things moving. And that's what we do every day. And we need to keep planting, we need to keep taking care of the crops, we need to cut. And if we can sell them, we'll sell them. But if we don't, then we compost them. That hurts, but that's the way it is right now. And so, it's difficult. We sold most of our production to wholesale florists, and most of them are closed. Some of them are starting to open a little bit, but it's not much yet. So we have all our costs as far as fertilizing, watering, keep our business going, but we're not getting much money in. We haven't been paid for some of the crops that we sold at Valentine's Day, so that hurts. Somehow we have to figure out a way to keep things going, and we hope maybe with some of the help from our government, when they ever figure out how to do that, which I'm not very hopeful on either, but I think eventually something will happen. So hopefully we can get some help financially. Other than that, we just count on our reserves and work hard and don't get much in. The one positive thing that we see is we've been selling more and more to specialty grocery stores, and they keep going better than the wholesalers, of course. So we have some sales, but it's nowhere near to what we're used to and what we need to have. But I'm optimistic. I have to be, because we made the decision to keep going, and so as an owner and as a businessman, you just need to stay optimistic for your employees and for your family and for everybody else. And I truly believe in this industry, we will get through it again, and there might be opportunities when we get through it. But maybe that's why I was a little hesitant of coming on at first, because I really don't have any answers, and I see some of the questions that come through, and I have some of the same questions.
Right.
We don't know what it's gonna be like, but I'm happy to tell you how we look at it and how we're trying to work through this. But these are difficult times. I've never in all my years never seen anything like this, and don't know really where we're gonna end up.
One comment on that is, for us, we're more of a perennial, right? Our crop is going to keep going and give us multiple crops a year. In Martin's case, they have to plant out and plant farther out with bulb crops and so forth. It's much more difficult for them, and definitely heartbreaking in a lot of areas to have to wonder, what it's going to be like. We don't know. Obviously, we're all in this together. That's been another one of our positive things, is we know that all of us are in the same boat, regardless of the size of our operations. We're fighting the same battle, and we're going to get through it. We just don't know what it's going to look like on the other end. Things are going to be completely different, but we're going to fight through it.
Very good. All right, let's move on to our questions section for you guys. My first question is from Bruce. He says, one question I have for Chad and Martin is about the effect of the pandemic on the availability of labor for California flower farms. I've been reading about the impact on the farm workers, often seasonal, who harvest a lot of the nation's produce, including the decisions by the State Department first to stop processing visa applications under the H-2A program in Mexico, then to resume processing, but with limited service given priority to returning applicants. So his question is, what is the overlap between this workforce and the workers who harvest flower crops? I think finding and retaining skilled workers has long been a challenge for flower farmers. How has this pandemic affected that? Martin or Chad, one of you guys want to go first?
I can go first. For us, for our operation and company, we don't really see any effects to this. Obviously, we're going to lose some employees to different types of businesses and labor. Some will go and work some of the fields, but we've been very fortunate with our staff. Very little turnover. A lot of our employees are coming back now as we're bringing them back on to, like I said, to manage the operation. So really, we haven't seen any effects. I'm sure some industries will see those effects, but personally for us, we have not.
That's Same for us. We have a full-time crew that we keep year-round. We don't use H2A. We cut flowers 52 weeks out of the year. We need people year-round, and they generally keep our people that have been with us for a very long time. We count on them. They count on us. So, but I do know that some of the seasonal flower growers probably have to deal with it. Although I think most flower growers here on the West Coast are in a situation that both Chad and I are in. But some of them might use H2A, but I don't think it's going to have too much of an effect on the cut flower producers.
Very good. He had another question. He said, also, can you or anyone at Mayesh estimate the drop in order volume since the pandemic began?
I can start with that one. I mean, we closed all of our doors, so we went from 100% to basically zero. And as I announced yesterday, we just decided to open up our shipping operation out of LAX. Again, some of it's look at these two gentlemen and the effort they're doing to try to keep farms going. We know it's not even a drop in the bucket, but something to try to keep something going. And we are literally just using the available distribution method, which is FedEx. And pretty much maybe a common carrier airline, but their flights have cut so much. But, as I been on the sidelines for a while making these decisions, I see Amazon packages, FedEx packages, UPS packages going everywhere. And the floral industry, I'm like, yeah, we can use that system and we can put a few boxes in with everything else on there. And I got news for you. I'm pretty darn sure everything that's going through those millions of packages are not essential items. So, I think that we've got a real place to try to continue to keep some flow going and some of these beautiful products finding their way to people who want to use them. And so, yeah, but it's gone from being a full-time business to where we are today. And we kept a spine of employees, but we've laid off in the neighborhood of 350 employees. And we're hoping, as Marge said, that the government programs are going to help us. But it's really kind of a cluster, at the moment with this whole thing. So that's my response.
Right.
Yeah, I'll answer to that as well. I mean, obviously, 100% on multiple days where you're just completely out of sales. And now as we try to ramp back up along with you guys on some fronts, we're seeing sales pick up in some areas. Some people do have some marketing opportunities out there. We do have a little bit of transportation out of California now with a couple day, one truck day a week now for a couple of the carriers. Another one's going 2 days a week. So we have a little bit of that. We have access to the overnight carriers as well. So we do have some of that available, but we need the people on the other end to be obviously open and selling product. So we can grow all the product in the world, but if nobody's open to sell it to, it doesn't really do us any good. So, but yeah, I mean, overall sales, we're probably down around 90% on overall sales. We do, for us, sell through farmers markets in California. So we have some of those essential opportunities available to us. We've been able to keep some product moving through that channel, but again, it's not enough to keep the doors open for a long, long time.
Yeah, same for us. At first down, probably 90%. Now it's getting a little bit better. Maybe I don't even know the exact numbers, but gut feel maybe 70-80% because things are starting to pick up a little bit. But it's like Chad was saying and like Pat was saying, that it's the customers are not there, they're not open, and so we can. And then even when they do open, we have a hard time getting it there.
Right.
So there's lots of challenges, and we're in the middle of it, and we're hoping to be able to use some of the trucks or airlines. We use air cargo. But we noticed that they are starting to slow down a little bit too. While we were thinking, well, as long as they keep flying, then there should be space on it. But now they cut out some of their flights. So it's, as soon as we're done here, I'm going to go downstairs and there'll be another problem that pops up that we need to solve. It's challenging.
Yes, indeed. My next question is from Katie. She says, are you hearing that growers are having to stop growing for seasons that will affect their place in the supply chain? Martin, do you want to take that first?
Yeah, I'm sure there are quite a few growers that are wondering now, what am I going to do? They have the product there, and some of them might find it difficult to find labor in order to cut the crops because, and then the shipping part, and then their customers not being there. So I think there's going to be some that decide, okay, well, we're not going to do it. Once you decide that, then it's difficult to kind of get going again, in my opinion. But I talked to several growers. I think every one of them is just like us, trying to decide what way can I keep going. And I think you stick with your main crops, the best crops that you can handle, maybe with the least amount of labor and that are most in demand. And then some other crops you might just let go. That's what we're doing. Some of them we just kind of need to let go because there's no customers to buy them. So then that's gone. And that when you have some of these perennial crops that you kind of let go a little bit, that doesn't mean you can just kind of pick it back up again. So there's going to be some gaps, no doubt.
Right. Anyone else have anything they wanted to add to Katie's question? No? Good. All right. Our next question is from Jan. She says, do you think at some point growers would turn off the water? If so, what time frame would that take to start back up? I feel like it's very similar to Katie's question. I don't know. Chad, do you have anything else you wanted to add?
Once we turn off the water, we're done. It's over. So
right.
For the roses, we need to obviously keep the crop alive, and that obviously we have to water them. So for us, if we shut the water off, we're done.
So, and if you shut the water off, there is no time to start back up because you're not going to start back up.
No, for roses, we would have to replant, and obviously there'd be a cost, time associated with that. I mean, from planting for us, once we plant, we're probably about 3 to 4 months out from a first crop. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of time in there. There's things that we could probably look at doing it, depending on the duration of this. Do we close down a specific greenhouse for a period of time and look at other opportunities there? Those are things that would have to continue to monitor and address, or other crops. But right now we're solely focused on protecting the roses that we have. And that includes just managing them, putting every effort that we have into them, from watering and CO2 and just all kinds of things that go into it, fertilizer. And those all have costs, right? Those all have costs that you have to forefront to, until this government assistance comes, if and when it comes, and what it looks like. We gotta get through this. So it's going to be a challenging period, but like I said before, we're going to keep on battling through it.
Yeah, I'd like to add that besides the roses or even perennial crops, I mean, it's just not that easy to just say, okay, well, I'll let it sit and then I'll turn it back on again. These are decisions that need to be made, and they're long-term decisions. And the other thing is, we don't know when things will turn around, and when they do turn around, how quickly will they pick back up again? And I think through that time, the longer this takes, the more people are going to say, okay, well, I can't do it. Or the more growers like us are going to say, like Chad said, we're going to let one greenhouse go because that's the oldest one, or that's the least productive. Until we kind of get over the hump and level out a little bit and see that some of our customers start to open up again, we'll get a little bit of an idea on how quickly all this will change. And there will be opportunities again. Right now, it's very difficult to see, but they will be there. And so, but we're going to go through some time. There will be opportunities to plant other varieties that are going to be in more demand, but that takes time. So it's going to take time, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, just one other quick point on Martin. I mean, yes, we truly believe that there is going to be a ton of opportunities when we get through this. Right now we're becoming this laser focused on the varieties that we're growing. We're get to take out the ones that we know are not going to be marketable anymore, and really focus in and continue propagating all the ones that we know are going to be strong sellers when we get through this. And that's what we're doing right now.
Very good.
Yeah, I would also just say this is what growers all over the country and world are faced with, these same decisions. They're just really hard decisions. So our supply chain is really at a critical stage. So thank these two gentlemen and the others who are gutting it out right now, because without them, we got problems. So
Right.
No, I'd like to add to that just like what Pat said, I mean, whether you talk to a guy in California or Oregon, or a grower in South America or in Africa or in Holland, we're all going through the same thing. This is worldwide, and we're all going to go through it together. And everybody, every business, every individual will have to make a decision on how they see themselves or their company continuing once we slowly get out of this. And that's why it's so difficult to give answers to these questions, because I have certain ideas, but I always say more than 300 million people in this country, and there's 300 million different ideas about how we should do things. Well, it's no different with the flower growers.
Right.
Everybody has their own situations, their own uniqueness, and we'll all have to figure this out, how we want to continue or not continue.
Very good. My next question is from Amanda. She says, I'm assuming that some product that has become more available year-round, like coral peonies, et cetera, is going to have wider gaps of unavailability. Do you think that is smart to assume that? Pat, I know you wanted to address this.
I think it's an unknown, but I would say it's smart to assume that. It's an unknown, but how we come out of this and who is still, we've gotten so used to having like a peony 12 months out of the year, and being grown all over the world, including Alaska and domestic, and there's great technology that has great lasting power. But I think it's safe to assume that if we don't know, but that we don't know could really lead to be that there are those gaps.
Right. Chad, Martin, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, no, I think Pat's right on the money. I think you're definitely going to see some gaps in some of those areas for sure.
Yeah.
No, same here. There's no doubt that there'll be some gaps, there'll be some holes, there'll be some, it's going to take a little time to figure all that out and get it back into place again. Especially, they mentioned peonies. I mean, that's something that's starting now, and it's going to happen here pretty soon. Maybe if you talk about a crop that is more a fall item, maybe you see less of a gap, because by that time we know a little more. But on the other hand, growers that are growing, fall crops need to put the time, money, and energy into it now in order to make sure that they still are available in the fall. So even then, it might still be a problem. But the crops like we're into now and that are coming on here pretty soon, I think you're going to have bigger gaps than the ones maybe later on.
Very good.
And let's face it, I mean, by the time it's all said and done, there's probably going to be a few less growers, and there's going to be a few less retail florists, and probably a few less wholesale florists. But it's going to be different for sure.
Yeah. My next question is from Herman, and I think you guys touched on it a little bit. You said, do you think suppliers will start sending their flower wholesale quality blooms to supermarket chains? And I know you guys have some relationships with supermarkets, it sounds like.
We personally don't, but I mean, I would assume that they already are selling those blooms there. I mean, there's beautiful product in supermarket chains. I mean, I bought some yesterday, so I would think that it will continue.
Yeah, what we do now, of course, is we send, if we can sell something to a supermarket, we'll sell our best product. So if we have if we have some nicer Oriental lilies, then we're not going to throw those away. We'll try to put them in our bouquets. So that's already happening a little bit. It just makes sense. So we're trying to get the best product to every customer that we have at the moment.
And for those, I mean, that in most parts, that's one of the only open channels right now for some growers. I mean, for those that sell to the supermarket chains, you know, that's what's keeping them in business right now, is to having some of those guys still opening and moving product. You know, on the wholesale side, we're very limited on who's open right now to help move the product. So it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Our next question is from Gay. She says, is this a time for us to start asking flower farmers for dried flowers? You guys drying anything over there?
Who knows, right? I mean, everything's on the table. So, we'll definitely look at all opportunities and, you know, address it as it comes. But I would never say we'd never dry a flower, but right now we're not. We could in the future, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, no, we don't either. I still think we try to stick to to the same business model that we've had in place, with some adjustments based on what the market throws at us. And that, you know, we cannot change varieties or crops that quickly. So we're stuck with what we have. We have our bulbs coming that we plant, and we keep that program going. So we cannot change things. And the varieties that we have now are not suitable for drying. I don't think we want to go dried flowers. It's a completely different market. But we will make adjustments to see where, you know, as soon as we see where this is going to go, then we'll have to make adjustments. If our preferred way of going is if everything just turns around and all our wholesalers are open again, there we go again. We'll go with them, because that's kind of what works best for us. And I think Chad and a lot of other West Coast growers were very well set up to sell to wholesale florists. Some of them do more with grocery stores, but we're more set up for wholesalers. We would prefer to go back to that, but they need to be open, and they need to be able to be open. And so those are some of the questions that we're just wondering what's going to happen. And we need to be open to that. Not dried flowers, but any other way of selling them, selling the fresh flowers that we have now.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a time period where we're all producing way more flowers than the consumption level. So we're going to have to figure out, you know, what to do with that period of time, you know, and that may lead us to different opportunities.
Correct.
Right. Correct. Yes. Okay, so my next question is from Carol, and it's honestly a question that we've gotten 10 times over, and I even see one in here from Sarah as well regarding pricing. Everyone wants to know, when the market is back, should we expect a price increase?
Yeah, I mean, it's a wild question, right? I mean, everybody wants to know. I mean, I have no idea what bread is going to be like at the grocery store tomorrow. I mean, who knows? You know, it all is going to depend a lot upon the assistance that we can get, you know, to help us through this, what our costs are going to look like when we get through it. And then I think we have to just, you know, figure that out at that time. Yeah, it'd be a little early to say what the pricing is going to look like. Right now, we just want to try to sell a flower. So.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. We're in a fresh product marketplace that supply and demand sets the price, and I don't see that changing. So right now there's not much demand. The demand might be there, but the channels to get it there is difficult. So all those things are going to make a difference. But you know, there's no doubt that this will kind of reset pricing a little bit. I think it's going to have to. Worldwide, you know, there were a lot of flowers being produced. There was never a shortage, so prices were always. It was very challenging. So that kind of needs to change a little bit anyway, and it will. Because if If you're not going to make much money, then there's going to be some growers that say, well, why do I do it? I might as well do something else. So there needs to be a profit in it. And another thing is that if I see 30 some years ago when we started growing lilies, we're selling them for a little bit more than we did 30 years ago, but not very much. And we've been able to be more efficient and get better varieties at pricing that hasn't increased that much. So I'd say be ready for some price increases because that's a great thing.
I agree with Martin on that. The reset is the word I think Martin hit right on that thing. There is going to be a reset. The market will drive pricing, but there is a reality. There's a cost for production. There's the transportation right now is equally every aspect of and again, I hate to sound doom and gloom. I'm not. I'm very optimistic, and these gentlemen are both optimists as well. We're just trying to really give a real picture on this podcast. And I think that if you look at all from production to transportation to wholesale distribution to retail sales, retail event, wedding event, we're all getting creamed. And so there's going to be a reset in many ways, and some of it's just going to be depending on what costs go up. We're not going to have an efficient supply chain out of the gate. That's not going to start right back up. So it's unanswerable, but the reset is probably a good word, and I wouldn't bet a nickel that I could predict a price 3 months from now. To be honest with you, I think it'd be foolish. It's going to be a different world coming out.
Very good. Thanks, guys. So my next set of questions are kind of just about floristry in general, not necessarily geared right towards flower farms, but if you guys have anything that you wanted to add, feel free. I know I see a lot of other questions in here, so hopefully we can get to a few of those. I'm going to try and go through these a little bit quickly. My first question is from RSVP Floral Design. She says, can we get a summary recap of all this great info on what to expect from Mayesh and what we can reference as we move forward? And I think that is a great question, RSVP. I'm putting in a link to our blog where pretty much I'm putting everything there that we have done or have announced or we're doing. And so definitely check that out. I know we're going to have another blog post coming out today with our announcement that we made yesterday that we'll talk more about here in a second. So definitely check that out. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, if you guys aren't subscribed to our emails, please do that because that is how everything goes out. So that's that. My next question is from Penny, and it's for Pat. She says, Pat, how do you think we can keep the power of the flower relevant? It's a hashtag. I know we have no product, but we can showcase our past experiences.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one thing we have in this industry, everybody has it, but the power of flowers, the visuals that we have that people have created, I think keep doing your social media marketing, keep putting ourselves out there as our beauty and just keep getting it out there. We got all those different social media tools that has been a huge benefit for the floral industry because our images are so compelling. And we've never had such a time where our products are showcased so often, so many places. So I think we can create illusion, if you will, that it's still there. But I think we have to try to keep front and center, top of mind. I mean, so far we have as an industry not been tied to like the service industry or the restaurant industry, and there's all these calls for saving your local restaurant and all of this. I think we're hit equally as hard or harder because we don't have takeout flower deals, and we've had all these mixed messages about what we can and cannot do, and people are struggling to figure out what they can and cannot do. But we just have to keep putting out beautiful images, in my view, and try to keep ourselves out there as an industry relevant, because we need us all to get through this. I mean, we're an industry. We're not any individuals that can pull this thing off. So that's my take.
Yeah, I agree. And Penny, too, I hope that you saw our Mayesh Florist Challenge TikTok. challenge that we're doing. I'm going to post a link for that. It's just something, again, injecting a little bit of fun, learning a new platform, and TikTok is just a really great, fun way to kind of get your content out there too. Just something new and a new way of telling a story. So I hope that you check it out. And just so you guys know, when I started this TikTok challenge towards the end of last week, we had 0 followers. We now have 70 followers. And again, not that that means a whole lot, but it's something. And again, just a new way. So my very first TikTok that we created for Mayesh, it features my little 10-year-old daughter who does TikToks every single day pretty much of her life. And so it's just something fun to do. So check that out. And again, yeah, just keeping the flowers in front of people, making sure they're not forgetting about it, I think is a great thing. My next question is all about direct buying. And so I'm going to read, I have 2 questions, one from Penny, one from Shauna, and we'll answer those. So Penny says, do you have any American grown flowers that could help us out with supply? And Shauna says, can you provide a list of local product that is available and what those prices are? Pat, you want to address that?
Yeah, I was just, as I said, today was our first opening our LAX shipping operation. All of our products are West Coast, domestically grown. We're doing our best to really get a nice inventory, a wide range of products from the. It's springtime. It's Southern California and up and down the coast. There's lots of great products. We're trying to get our hands on it. We're trying to make it available. So we've got ways to do that. And I'll let you reiterate the different ways that you get a hold of us, Yvonne.
Yeah. So everything, you can get a hold of us at sales@mayesh.com. And then our main phone number as well, it is 855-462-9374. Those are 2 ways that we're kind of selling now. We're trying to really streamline everything because, as Pat mentioned, we have laid off a lot of people. We're really working with a skeleton crew. So that's our way of just kind of streamlining everything as best as we can. So I've seen a lot of questions too about just how, like, for people who aren't buying from Mayesh. And so I'm putting a register link here. If you guys fill that out, we'll get you all set up and squared away. That will also give you access to our price list because we don't publish those publicly. I've seen a lot of questions too about pricing and how much everything costs. So, get registered. If you are registered, then you should be on an email list and you should be getting those price lists. If you're not, shoot me an email at yashton@mayesh.com and I will figure that out with you guys.
Yeah, one other note.
I'm new to this, so sorry for my butting in. I happen to see a comment from Andrew regarding we're headed into the biggest recession ever. If we think flower prices are going to go up, goodbye flower business. I think he makes a good point that we don't have any real knowledge. We can assume that, but I don't think it should be our talking points. And we have a lot of wedding and event people out there. I think we can assume uncertainty, but I don't think we should go with we know prices are going up. I think that would probably be some level of a death knell. But I think it's as a talking point. I think we should try to stay away from, we think prices are going to go soaring high. I don't know that myself. Martin said it, I'll always go back to that. We're a supply and demand business, and we'll see where it takes us. But I think it would be a mistake if we were out there just saying that we're scared to death, bride, this is what I can do for you. I think that would be a mistake. And again, it brings up a great point.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree too, Ben.
The one thing that, we cater to the wedding and event side of the industry. Obviously, it got hit very hard right now. All those events are postponed. We know they're going to come back sooner or later. We just don't know what size they're going to be, what the budgets are going to look like. So it's a waiting game right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's good points. Thanks, guys. Okay, my next question is from Madeline. She says, do you foresee this event accelerating the adoption of e-commerce purchasing? Pat, you want to take that first, and guys, you can go after that?
I think it's possible. I mean, we've been working on our e-commerce site, as you well know, for quite a while, and we're pushing it. We think it's an efficient way to go after business and communicate, what we're doing out there. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's people are working from home.
Right.
So that's going to that leads me to say that's a reality. So that's my comment on that. Yeah.
I mean, I would comment to that. I think Pat's absolutely right. I mean, these are new times and new ways of doing business. So I would only assume that that portion would increase a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we look at it just like I said earlier. All these different options out there. We don't know where it's going to come from, but we need to be open to it and see where it's going to go. We might have our preferred way of how we want to do it, but times are changing, and this whole thing is going to make things change even more. So we just have to look and see what it's going to look like when we get to the other side.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think e-commerce is such a big thing. It's been a big thing before this, and it's growing in our industry itself. As Pat mentioned, we've been working really hard on our new e-commerce website, Mayesh.com. And actually next week, I'm going to be bringing Charity on, so that way we can kind of go all over all the tools, tips and tricks about our website to help you guys. Maybe it'll give you guys some ideas too on what to do on your own website. And just thinking about the wedding industry, for example, and, meeting with clients and things like that. I know a lot of people already do like the e-meetings and use Zoom, or, I use Uber Conference. So just, that piece of it too, using more technology to make things more efficient, meet with people quicker, but still being able to do it person to person, I think is like a great thing that's happening. And so, yeah, we'll see how this goes. So Madeline and everyone else, I'd love to hear like your thoughts on this as well in the comments. Okay, our next question is from Kelly. She said, should we even be quoting weddings for later this year or next year? And so that's a question that we've been getting a lot of. We had it for our last one. We have it now. I know people have talked about it in the comments already. We have a lot of comments, so I love that, guys. Thank you. And so I that was from a question posted in our last show. And so Robin and Shauna both replied to her, and I think this is great. So Robin says this affects marketing and doing proposals because we don't know pricing, which is true. And as Pat, Chad, and Martin said, we don't really know what the pricing is going to look like until it starts revising. What's the word that I'm
playing itself out?
Yes, exactly. Thank you. And so I think that's a great point. And Shauna then also added to the conversation in the comments. She said that she's adding an addendum to her contract to indicate that prices are subject to change with specific language regarding this. So I think that's an amazing point that I think everyone needs to be aware of, especially in regards to their wedding and events. And so was that last week? I feel like everything goes by so fast. So last week Pat was involved in, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, in a conversation that had a lawyer in it, and they talk about different verbiage and things like that. So I'm posting a link for that so that way you guys can go and look at that preview. But also, if you guys are looking for more resources, I have it up on our blog in my florist business checklist for you guys. So again, I'm posting up those 2 links for you guys. You can check that out when you get a chance. All right, so it is 11:52. We have a few minutes for questions, and I'm gonna see what I can find. We have a lot of people in here. John Donati's here. Hi, John. He says, Yvonne, you're doing awesome. Thank you. Look at AV Florist working from home. Aren't we all? We're all at home right now. Let's see. Elaine, she asks, has there been permanent damage to the floral industry? And if so, how? Do you guys want to talk about that?
I don't know if there's permanent damage. There probably is long-term damage, but I think, as we work through it, I think a lot of it's going to come back personally. It's going to take some time, though. I think it's a little early to say how much damage is done.
Yeah, I agree. There's damage is being done right now to the business end. Is there permanent damage to the floral industry? I don't think so. I'd like to be optimistic and say, I think in these difficult times, more people realize what flowers do to them. And so I like to think that more people realize what it does to them when they give flowers to somebody, and also when they receive them. So hopefully more people realize that things are maybe a little bit more back to basics for a little while, and that can help our industry. And that's just the big picture, but damage is being done to our business every day and to all businesses. So yeah, damage is being done, but it's not only the flower industry. And I think as a floral industry, maybe we can get some benefits out of it once we get through all this.
Yeah, I agree. And look, we're a resilient bunch. I mean, we're in the flower business. You're not in this business if you don't know how to work hard, how to be resilient, how to battle through. I mean, from every aspect of our business. I mean, I always say this is a business about people. If you don't have the gene or that go-to work hard place, you're not going to get there. But we're resilient and creative. And I believe, yes, damage is being done every day now. But when we come out of this, we're going to rebuild in a way that'll probably look different than where we were when we came in. But, trees look different when they're trimmed and they grow back and
right.
Things like that, and they get healthier. And so, I mean, I have to look at it like that. But I do believe we will look different, but we will be an industry that will come back strong. We are a vital piece of the world, of the beauty that we provide the world. So, we're going to come out of it. It will look different, but we'll get past this damage and into a next phase, whatever that looks like. There'll be some reinventing. There's going to be definitely reinventing for many of us.
Very good. And there's Remy. He always makes an appearance in the show for all you guys that have dogs. All right. My next question that I wanted to bring up, it's disappearing. I see questions about Mother's Day. So a couple of them. So this first one is from Michelle. She says, yes, how about Mother's Day? People want to know about Mother's Day and how we should be planning for that.
If we knew Mother's Day was going to happen and we could be in business on May 1, I think we could just have a great rocket ship startup, if that were the case. And I'm not going to, I'm no Mr. Fauci, but sounds like that's helpful.
Right,
so.
Right. Yeah, I have Jerome on here saying Mother's Day will vary by market, not thinking it's happening at all in Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, everybody has a mother, and I think they're going to find ways to get mom something. Hopefully that they'll find a way to get her some flowers, one way or another.
Right.
Yeah, I agree, and I think as far as from the growers, and I think we will have flowers. We will have them. Now it's just a matter of are the wholesalers open? Are the trucks going? Are the airlines flying? Can we get this economy going again? And I know there are people out there that think we need to slow down because they're worried about the virus and the disease. And I'm for that. I mean, I understand that. So we have to find a balance between being safe and get this economy going again. And people a lot smarter than me that can figure that out. We just go along with it, do the best we can, but we will have flowers. That's not the problem. Don't worry about that.
Very good.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, you can second that. Probably a lot of growers can say the same thing. I mean, flowers are going to be available. You just need to find a way to get them out there.
Good. I have this one comment, which I think is a great way to kind of wrap up our question section from Allison Ellis. Resilience and reinvention. Love it.
Yep.
Very good. Well, guys, that's a wrap on today's Mornings with Mayesh. Thank you so much for spending the last hour with us. Thank you, Chad, Martin, and Pat. I hope this was a good experience for you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, it was good. Thanks for being able to participate.
Yeah, I mean, I
thanks
also just want to know.
Go ahead, Chad.
I was just going to say, for all of us, everybody on here can access all of our products through Mayesh and their locations. So we're ready to go, as much as we can to help you guys, and we really appreciate the support.
Yeah, same here. I just like to add, I mean, if people want to know from our company, they can go on our website, OregonFlowers.com, and we have an app, Oregon Flowers. It's strictly informational. Buy your flowers through Mayesh or other wholesalers, but then you can see what we have available and what we do if you're interested in it.
What?
We love it from wholesale when you guys look at our suppliers' websites and understand more and more the knowledge you bring when you come to us. We love it. So
Thank you.
Love the love, guys. Thank you so much. Everyone, I'll be working with Patrick on future shows and bringing additional guests from different segments of the industry. Keep on following along. We are in this with you. We will get through these tough times together. In the meantime, if you have questions, as always, feel free to shoot me an email, DM Mayesh, or use our contact form on our website. Stay tuned for our next show. And until then, we wish you nothing but health for you and your loved ones. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
thank you.
Take care. Bye.